Welcome to the Prescott Home Value Report through May 2026, brought to you by the Prescott Pickle Lady, Diane Breaux, Realtor. As you can probably tell, I am not the Pickle Lady. That's me in the bottom right-hand corner. My name is Randall, and the Pickle Lady has authorized me to show you the following slides, as always. Starting with the Prescott median sales price per square foot. So each one of these dots represents the results, actually the median sales price per square foot for that month. The blue line is last year, the red line is this year. And as you can see, late in 2025, early 2026, we kind of had an edge over last year. That gap kind of closed last month, and it's remaining closed this month. People, the prices here have been flat since COVID. And every time you start to think, maybe they're not going to be flat anymore, and it ends up going back to pretty much last year. So that's about as flat as you can get. That's 0%. Turning now to transactions. Same thing. The blue line is last year. The red line is this year. Each one of these dots represents the number of homes that closed in that month. And as you can see, we're neck and neck, neck and neck. Usually these are really, really tight, maybe not quite as tight as they were December, January, February. But starting in March, the spring starts coming out, and we are out ahead of last year significantly. That looks 20%-ish, maybe a little more than 20%. I think this was 30% last month. So we're seeing some significant increases in volume over last year out in Prescott. So is it a buyer's market, seller's market? Is it somewhere in between? We answer that question using our pending ratio analysis. The way that works is we looked at how many homes were on the market. That number was 669. Of those, 100 of those were pending. Well, 100 is 15% of 669, so our pending ratio is 15%. If you look up 15% in our handy-dandy colored chart, you will find out that that represents a strong buyer's market. We've been there for quite some time. Generally, Prescott is a buyer's market. Buyers have to be brought in from outside the local area for the most part, and that makes them relatively rare. So we always tend to be kind of a buyer's market here in Prescott. Breaking this out by price point gives you something that looks a little like this. Now, this chart is starting to settle out. Okay, so let me go through what the chart is before I jump into it here. First off, these little blue bars down at the bottom, those are the number of homes sold. So that's the volume figure. And you can see it kind of forms a little normal curve, but then there's a lot going on at 1.2 million plus. So it's kind of a jump here. But what you see, this is the classic shape of this curve. As the price point goes up, it becomes more and more of a buyer's market. Usually these lower ends, they are usually kind of up here more. It becomes more of a seller's market in the 300s and 400s. Not a lot in the 300s and below. But they're all still a buyer's market. This is kind of a tight curve, but you can definitely see the downward trend, which is the classic form of this curve, until you get to 1.2 and that spikes up. But also, too, we've been seeing kind of a bump in the 700s, 800s in Prescott, where it becomes less of a buyer's market there. That's kind of settled out. We must have some more homes came on the market and pushed those pending ratios down a bit. So how long does it take for a home to sell in Prescott? Answer 4.8 months. That is from the time you put it on MLS until you get a contract is 4.8 months. Escrows are generally about a month. It's been a little bit less than a month the last several months. That means we're getting a lot of cash deals, which is typical in Prescott as well. But usually you can count on escrows taking about a month, but we're running a little faster. So overall, soup to nuts is 5.6 months. Turning now to the city of Prescott Valley, median sales price per square foot. And we're seeing that we are negative 2% over last year. We've been running under last year since March. A little bit of a price decrease since last year in terms of volume. More than last year for a bit, but it's kind of crashed back down again. So this is a lot tighter. And again, this is the number of transactions this year versus last year. And you can see that we're almost neck and neck. We have been since last month. So what kind of a market is it in Prescott Valley? Pending ratio is 19%. That's 77 pending on 400 total. So that is also a strong buyer's market. In Prescott Valley, it takes 3.9 months, so a couple of months faster than in Prescott, and a little bit closer to the 1 month mark, but still a little bit lower. So 4.8 months overall. So now we're to our highlight chart. So median price per square in Prescott is $327, which is essentially the same as last month and last year. Prescott Valley, that number is $293. So you can think of that as being, I don't know, do the math. I can't do it on top of my head. 1% since last month, 2% since last year. That's about 8%, something like that. Volume, 119 in Prescott. That is 4% lower than last month, but 28% higher than last year. We talked about that. Over in Prescott Valley, that number is 83, which is a 4% increase from last month, but a 1% decrease year to year. Inventory 669,407. That's a 2% increase in Prescott, an 8% increase in Prescott Valley. And then months to contract, 4.8 in Prescott and 3.9 in Prescott Valley. Now, this video covers highlights, but it's not all we're doing. We actually do a whole bunch more. You can see the full report for lots of slicing and dicing. If you just go to the pickle page, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The important thing is this is not the only monthly report we do. We actually have lots of stuff that we do for both buyers and sellers. And this is all stuff that you can only get from the Pickle Lady. So if you have not been to the pickle page, you should get to the pickle page because you got stuff like this on there. This is our appraiser eye view. So this is a report that we run. We run for the whole city, and we also have a separate report just for the subdivision of Prescott Lakes. It is sorted by price per square foot, so that you've got the lowest homes on the top, the lowest price per square leading up to the highest price per square. And this is how many months it took to sell, the square footage, year it was built, how many stories, how many acres, and whether the home has a view or not. We even have a video there that kind of explains how to use this information to estimate the value of your home or whatever home you happen to be interested in. We do a subdivision snapshot for the top 40 subdivisions. So you can see kind of the price ranges, square foot ranges, gives you a good sense of what kind of homes are in the subdivision. And of course, you can look at the prices and whether they have a view. This is the percent of homes that sold that have a view, the price, the cost of the HOA. So it really kind of gives you a really good snapshot of all of these subdivisions. So as I said, this is all on what we call the pickle page. Now, if you want to go to the pickle page, you can go there. The address is pickle76, as in 1776, right? Pickle76.com. As I said, we do update it every month. You don't have to subscribe to get access to it. You could go to it anytime you want. But if you don't want to miss it, because again, we're getting updates that are going out every month, subscribe. You'll see some information there on where you can do that. And you will get a reminder every time we send this out, which we do once a month. Depending on where you're seeing this, if you look below, you will probably you will see the link to Pickle 76 or the Pickle page. There may be a button below. If there's a button below, you'll see the button, the big green button. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the description. If you go in the description. But if you don't want to do any of that, you could just go to pickle76.com and it will take you there. Hope you've enjoyed it and hope to see you again next month.